WSJU Radio, DJ Mad Max on air here with co-host Keenan. And we have a special guest here in the building tonight. A very special guest.
Definitely.
A Queens legend, a hip-hop legend, a pioneer, one of the greatest lyricists of all time, has some of the greatest albums of all time.
Wow, that's...
The Natural and Vendetta, two of the greatest albums in hip-hop history. Let's give a round of applause for Mike Geronimo.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. He said the greatest albums of all time. I was like, wow, damn. I don't even look at it that way, but okay, cool. What's going on at St. John's University?
Welcome to St. John's. Welcome to WSJU Radio.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure having you here tonight to talk with us and
Pleasure to
chop
be
it up
here.
in the interview. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So getting back to what we opened the show up with, yes, I agree that The Natural and Vendetta are two of the greatest albums in hip-hop history.
I appreciate that.
Lyrical content-wise, because I'm a big lyrics guy, we go at it every week that, I don't know, we're not big mumble rap fans.
I'm so sorry to hear. Probably feel lonely in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
Now, what's your take on mumble rap?
I mean, like I was saying, I listen to everything.
Really?
Yeah, so I listen to everything from Van Halen and Led Zeppelin to Moneybagg Yo to... I love Meek's album now, even though I don't consider them to be mumble rap, but I ain't gonna stunt. I'll be in the crib playing Migos Stir Fry.
Really?
Yeah,
That's surprising.
Good record.
What about 6ix9ine?
Here's what I will say. I'm not really familiar with his music. I'll be honest. I maybe heard a snippet or two of his music.
Yeah.
And it's not for me what I heard, but I don't knock him. Like, if that's the wave that he's on, and if that's the wave that the young G's is on now, then who am I to knock him? You know what I mean? It's unfortunate he got jammed up, but I wish him the best of luck. But I really don't, if it's not for you, I'm the type of person where if it's not for me, I could just be like, all right, I'm not listening to that. Let me play what I want to listen to, but I don't take it overboard and be ready to protest and stage a rally against mumble rappers. Like, they do what they do,
Yeah, definitely. Now, who impresses you?
Now?
Yeah, now.
Like I said, I like Meek's joint.
Okay.
I like Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap. That's one of my favorites from this year. I like Kodak Black's joint. Who else was I like? Yeah, that's hot. Cardi B's cool. I dig Cardi B stuff. J. Cole I love. I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan.
Okay.
A humongous Kendrick Lamar fan. I don't know. There's a couple of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They may not strike me. I say with the exception of like Kendrick and J. Cole, and Meek, because I do believe Meek is lyrical in his own way. I think Ross is lyrical in his own way as well. So I mean, but most anybody, if they're saying something and it catches my attention, I'm like, all right, that's cool. So I'm open to most things. It's rare that I hear somebody and I'm like, nah, I don't want to hear that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people where I'm like, nah, I don't want to hear that.
Definitely, I think we all think that. But a person who I always like represent and like make sure like gets more notice. He doesn't need a lot of notice, but I mean, like in the mainstream eye, he's not real big. But Dave East to me.
Yeah, I like Dave's stuff. Like he got a song I always play off his first album. I forget what it's called. Like if I go on my iTunes. I like Dave East. He to me is a rarity because he kinda he just does what he does and you could tell that it is genuine. It's not like he's contrived and he doesn't play to like, okay, I gotta do this song and I gotta do that song. He just, he does what he does. What's the name of this record? Again, that's what it's called.
Okay.
It's called Again. That's like one of my favorite Dave East shows, but shout out to him. I like him. I like his music. I hope he goes far.
Definitely. Now we're getting back to you now. I want to ask you, when did you start rapping?
Uh, Ironically, the funniest thing is the first time I ever rapped was probably in seventh grade. And I remember my English teacher, Mr. Pigman, was like, okay, you can perform in a talent show and rap, but you have to do a rap about Julius Caesar because he got the idea from the Cosby Show. At the time, they had like an episode where they did like a rap about ancient Greece. So that was like the first time I played around with it, but I think I didn't really start diving into it until around the age of maybe 15, 16. Like I had grew up with Large Professor, so I would be at his house every day. And I guess just being around, Large, and Large would always have people over like Busta Rhymes and Q-Tip and Pete Rock and Gangstar. Guru and Premier would come over, Nas would be there. So I guess just being around all of that and absorbing all of that, it just kind of like subconsciously I started doing it. And like, we just for exercise we would just spit. Like if you went to his crib, he would just throw a beat on and you just spit. And then we started to discover like I could just black out and just freestyle. And if you asked me to repeat it, I probably couldn't because I wouldn't know what I was saying. But from there, that's when I just started, like he would be like, okay, now start writing it. And the rest was history.
Now, was that the same talent show you performed at that Irv was the one that discovered you at?
Actually, no, because it's funny because with me, like, even though I was from Flushing, I would be all over the place. Like, I have family that's from Southside. And I went to school in Bayside. I went to Bayside High School. So a friend of mine in Bayside High School named Chucky Madness, he was like, he was one of the big DJs in Queens at the time. And he overheard me spitting in the lunchroom at the table. And he just started telling me, he's like, yo, why don't you come to my crib and da 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 da. And I was just like, all right, cool, I'll go over to your crib, what have you. And, he started bringing other Queens DJs around to hear me, like Sage and Rockwilder and, like all of those people that were at the time on the park scene DJing in Queens. He was very in the loop with. So I guess, unbeknownst to me, he was playing the stuff he was recording me doing for Earth. And he had set up for me to perform at this talent show on 109 in Liverpool. And if you know Southside, like, it's kind of a hectic area to say the least, you know what I mean? So I didn't even really have any like forewarning. Like Chuck just called me, he's like, yo, I want you to rap at this joint. And I was like, all right, cool. And I got on stage, and before I went on stage, I noticed people was rhyming, and if they didn't like them, they was throwing bottles at them and drinks and whatever. So I started spitting, and I remember when I stopped, like the whole auditorium was quiet, and I was just like, okay, I don't see nobody throwing nothing, so okay, I guess I did it. And then I just heard somebody like, yo, you got another song? And I was like, all right, cool. And Irv was there. So that was like my first formal introduction to meeting Irv. And then from there, he was just like, yo, I got a studio, I want to record you. And at first, I was kind of like, whatever. And he was persistent. And, the rest was history.
Yeah, exactly. And now your first record was It's Real.
Yeah, that was right. Actually the very first time I went in the studio with Irv, and it was actually the very first time I had ever recorded anything in my life. So the first song I ever recorded in my life, because we didn't even intend for this to be a song, but it was like my first day in the studio in life, and it came out to be It's Real.
A hit.
I guess
It was a hit. Your first time in the studio was a hit. Not too many rappers can say that. That's insane, though. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
just going in the studio the first time and just banging that out. It's real. Everyone knows that.
yeah, and it was kind of. I mean, now I guess if I play it in retrospect, I'd never like even hearing you say that. I've never looked at it that way. I just looked at it like I guess life had its own plan because it was like the first time I ever did it, you know. And I remember, matter of fact, when we was recording, the hook I had freestyle. I was just saying, it's real now. You were not, it's real. And Irv had stopped me and he's like, yo, what you just said? He's like, yo, say what you just said. And I was like, wow, what did I just say? And he's like, say that, it's real. Now you know the deal, it gets realer. He said, but yo, just say, it's real. Yeah, I know it's real. I said, all right. And he was like, yo, Mike, you ever did this before? And I was like, nope. And he's like, this your first time in the studio, Mike? And I was like, yeah. And he just did this like maniacal laugh. And I just knew from the laugh, whatever it was we was doing, it must have been, you know, on point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was. Like, I consider that one of the classic hip hop songs, old school hip hop in general. Like, definitely.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And I want to throw that on actually and let the audience hear that.
Okay, cool beans.
Let's throw it on. It's real.
Yeah.
Hip hop classic. You know what it is. WSJU Radio, co-host Keenan, and Mike Geronimo here, and Loko in the corner. You know what it is.
Loko. Yeah, y'all let me know when that goes
One time for your mind, check it out, yeah. For those who don't know the way I flow, I go by the name of Mike Geronimo. Big shout to my whole family, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to represent, y'all know who you is. And we about to spark this. Yeah, check it out, check it out. Another thing is stepping through the belly of the beast. I leave the compound and make my way to my stomping grounds. I'm just about broke to the letter. It can't get any worse, it can only get better. My burner live around my waistline, Geronimo will be fine when brothers come up back and
We'll get it on. We'll get this on here as well. Who produced this? This is
Urban.
Oh, really?
And on the DL, I be well, and that's the gospel. Chicks to get a call when it's possible. I make a red bone, a dead bone after my bed bone. I leave the hook or so from my zone. Then I bounce and check my family, jump in the ride and see what's going down on the upper side of town. It's all about lounging and keeping it together. No matter the weather, you find me out doing whatever. Within the sun, forward and more, we're on the move. So nobody can bust up the mother effing groove. It's still enough to catch your fingertip feel. Check a rhyme paragraph because my head is real. You know the deal, it's real. Yeah, I know it's real. Yeah, I know it's real. Smoke a 20 back of Buddha, then I'm ready to peel. You know the deal, it's real. Yeah, I know it's real. Yeah, I know it's real. Takes from my feel, I freak mics like sex appeal.
How do you feel about ghostwriters?
Like catching nights,
Come from a lyrical writer
when you're
yourself.
handcuffed. For every episode on my phone, there be another six story in my mind. I be told, and every time I touch like
I was never anybody that would stay.
a brother with the killer mouth.
Like I always felt like you had to move with the
I've been
times,
there
and
for more
at
tricks
first,
than a
I
tramp.
guess,
Locked in a sleepaway camp.
you might
And
feel
any
like, at first, I kind of
like,
like, I couldn't see myself ever having a ghostwriter, but I don't knock people that, you know, because that's what you do. I mean, like, they do it in other forms of music, so why not hip hop? And I understand half of hip hop is being able to come up with your own ideas, your own identity, and your own lyrics. It's different.
I keep my form in the storm of a
You
roar.
want to compete, you want to sound like whatever's hot. But I would never do that.
You don't need to. Now Drake, I don't know. But how do you feel about Drake? Do you think he's a ghostwriter?
I think he's right. Like, he was a ghostwriter on comeback season. I mean, people comment like he can't spit. keep
I'm
his
a
spit.
fan to a jail time.
But
Making your
he
brain
might
cells
be
swell.
like anybody
When
else
brothers
in the
couldn't
world. He
rhyme,
might be
and
like,
you
yo,
would
I
grab the
just
mic
did a
and
whole
rhyme well.
tour.
Ripping out the
I did
frame
3
when I memorize your name.
commercials.
Brothers will never be the same.
This broad is
Now in the
bothering
game,
me.
I took mics and
I
daylight
got
show for
OVO to
steal.
run.
And now you know
Yeah.
the deal.
Yo, why
Because
don't you
my head
write
is
these
real.
bars for me? You know, save me some time. If he even does that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't really speculate, but I don't think it takes away in any way from him. I'm a Drake fan, so
Okay.
I like Drake, I like weed.
It's getting real because my head is real. My head is real.
Yeah, I
Supposed to hit
could.
your cough button. Got a little cough button for shit like that, but once the bean come out of the ceiling. Yeah. Oh yeah.
WSJU Radio, DJ Mad Max on here with co-host Keenan,
What's good?
Mike Geronimo, the
Yes,
great
sir.
Queens legend, hip hop legend, and Loko, an
Yeah,
aspiring legend of Queens.
comment.
Definitely.
How you feeling?
Feeling awesome, feeling amazing.
So we were just playing "It's Real" for the audience right now. I mean,
Uh-huh.
hopefully everyone's heard that. I mean, that's a classic. But get into who produced it.
Irv Gotti produced it.
Mhm.
Irv Gotti produced it. He co-produced it actually with Chucky Madness, the guy I was talking about earlier. But he definitely did the lion's share of the production on it, and it was definitely like he had to coax me into doing the song. He had to be like, "Yo, I'm telling you, Mike, yo, you should." Alright, let me listen to you, and I did it.
Definitely, it was worth it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at all. Like I remember like just hearing the beat. I was like, okay, Denise Williams, cool. Who doesn't know that record? But I just wasn't big on it. You know, like I wanted to do more, I guess you would say, underground or whatever. But Irv was like, nah, Mike, I'm telling you. And then when we did it and I heard it, I remember I actually let Large Professor and Nas hear it like maybe 3 days after we did it. And they were the two people aside from like my immediate circle who made me feel like, okay, maybe I don't realize what this record is. You know, it's like Nas was like, yo, that should be on the air tomorrow, and I was like, okay. And you know, so it turned out the way it did. But I'm definitely appreciative, and I'm glad that, you know, all the stars aligned and it came out the way that it did.
Definitely. Now, how did "It's Real" shape you into making and going into the process of creating the natural?
Well, it was really, in a sense, it was my template, I guess you could say, because I knew nothing about song structure. Like, Irv taught me all of that. You know, even though, like I said, I was around Large for the most part all the time, he wasn't pointing out, like, okay, you have a verse and it's 16 bars and then you have a hook. And Irv is really the one who came and he was like, okay, you got to write 16 bars and then you have to have your hook, and you should write your hook before you write your bars, and your hook has to catch their ears. So he was very meticulous and he was very mechanical, and he was very, like he scrutinized it, you know, to make sure that everything linked to everything. So after he showed me the ropes, figuratively speaking, with how to, you know, the format of a song, I would always refer and be like, okay. And I don't necessarily think that every song I did followed that template, but this was like the beginning of me seeing like, oh, okay, so that's why when you hear a song on the radio, there's this part that everyone sings and knows off top, and you have to figure out all these little words in between. So
Yeah.
he's the one that gave me the template, and that's pretty much what it was.
Now, what was your next song after It's Real? Was it The Natural or was it Master IC?
I believe it was Master I.
Master IC.
I
That's
think
another
so.
that's another hit which we opened up with.
Yeah.
Definitely a classic.
And that was like completely different because, like I said, how it was actually the polar opposite of Israel because Israel was following a template and Israel was pretty much designed to get, rotation on radio. And Master IC was the exact opposite. Like, it didn't even sound like that when I first heard it. Like, when Buck Wild played the beat for me, it was me. Shout out my cousin Infrared. Me, my cousin Infrared, and part of me, and my brother. And when Buck played it, I remember Herb didn't really like it. And I remember me and Inf was like, yo, you don't hear that? And Herb was like, nah, I don't hear that. And we was just like, yo, you don't hear that? And he was like, nah. And like Master IC pretty much, even though it took, like, if you ask Buck Wild, he'll swear it took like 20 to 34,000 sessions to complete it. Because I would always come with like my goon squad to the studio, and like I said, the rapper care kit.
Absolutely.
Like, there'd be plenty of Hennessy and weed, and you all that stuff, and chicks from whatever strip club or whatever. And so it took a lot to get the record done, but it was more of what I felt, as opposed to following a template. And I had to really tell Herb, like, yo, trust me, I'm telling you, trust me, trust me. And then when it was finished, it was like his jaw hit the floor, So, I think of all the records I did in my life, that's the one that I'm the most attached to.
I can see why. I really like that record, Master IC.
I just think it's the most unique record that I ever did, and I think it's one of those records that you could try a million times to duplicate it, but you would never be able to do exactly that, which happened at that moment in time.
No.
So like one of a kind type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that one always sticks to my heart.
The chorus on it is insane.
Yeah, and that was just random. That was just us sitting in my room. Like, it was me, Flush, and my man Uni. And we were sitting in my crib, and we were high. And I was like, damn, I'm so high right now. And I remember Flush like, I'm so high. You so high. And then my man Uni was like, yeah, but I be getting money till the day that I die. And then I was like, wait, whoa, what we just said? And then that was it.
That's insane. The story of how like a record chorus or just like a record in general to come together. That's insane.
But to me, that's what good music is. Like, to me, music is supposed to be spontaneous, and it's supposed to, tap on all those emotions, and it's supposed to catch all those little moments that people overlook. That to me is a part of the fabric of what's common between all of us as humans. It is those little moments that, yeah, they happen to everyone, but they go unnoticed. And if you can find a way to capture those moments, you'll pretty much tap into everything.
Definitely. Then getting into Master IC and then The Natural. That's probably my favorite song that you made.
Natural is cool. I say I like it. I wouldn't never say I didn't like it. I think Natural was more of, like, it was like, okay, so you got to make this whole entire thing make sense. And I think we even did The Natural before I had even finished the album. And I think after we did it, it was just like, yeah, okay, that's the album. That's what we calling it, The Natural. And it just stuck. So, and I had fun doing it. I think by the time I had gotten to doing The Natural, I was pretty much, like, I was figuratively speaking riding my bike. according to, okay, now I know, okay, it's 16 bars, and now I know the hook goes here, and now I know my first verse has to hit them in the first 4 seconds, and I know whatever I say in the opening bars of the second verse has to outdo the first, and it's easier, pardon me, for kids now, for dudes now, because songs now are not as long as they used to be, you know, so you don't have to exert as much energy concentrating on a first and a second and a third verse. You know, now it's 2 minutes and change and you're out the door.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to throw the natural on now and let the audience hear that as well.
Cool beans.
And I want to shout out Zay Designs for creating a nice promo for the show.
Oh yeah, shout out. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know,
Zaire, he's a graphic designer, does stuff for hosts in the radio station.
Okay.
Designs on campus, did the great design for the show, and I used the natural
Mhm.
for the song to promote it.
Cool beans.
So I want to throw that on right now.
That's what's up. Let's do it.
Y'all know I go by now, you know
Yeah, we were putting together, like, he was designing it, so like we were working on it till like 3 o'clock in the morning, like since like 12. We were making sure like all the pictures were going on. Yeah, because he's got like this little graphic design like application on like his laptop. It was amazing. He was doing it. Like I could never do that. Like make a promo like that.
It's just so funny to me now because like you can do all of that on your phone now.
Yeah.
Like I know Photoshop and creating suites and all of that. Like I taught myself that years ago. You know, like logo design, 3D stuff, stop motion and all that stuff. So, but it's just amazing to me how now that same technology is available on your smartphone. So you probably could. It's just having the patience to sit there and do it.
That's true.
I mean, that's like anything like DJing or DJ stuff.
Oh, Matt, you got a call out there.
No, that usually just goes.
Oh, that's
on.
the one that always goes
Yeah,
on.
that's the one that always goes on. Because remember when
Yeah, when
Gerard
I-
called
yeah.
in, we all thought it was a different one.
I was like, yo, what is this call ringing for?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. I just scrolled up in the natural video on Instagram. Yeah, somebody posted it. Man, what happened with Offset and Cardi, man? Where's the news?
That's gonna happen so quick too.
How do you feel about his name's Jockway, right?
Jockway?
Yeah, the R&B singer.
Oh, Jacquees.
Jacquees. I'm going up to Keith Sweat.
He went up to Keith Sweat.
Yeah, he was like, I'm the king of R&B.
You don't know Keith Sweat background.
He really like stepped through his business.
Yeah. And then he tried to clear it up like in front of him. He was like, you were the king of your day, but I'm the king of my generation.
That's just called. That's crazy.
Keith look at him like he was crazy. Like, yo, what
Yo, man, I'm sorry, what's the last song he put out? What song did he put out?
Now, I mean, feel like you said, the dude's his age, they know who he is, but not to be going around talking like you the king and all that.
Right, but what song did he have out? That's my question. I don't even remember what song he had out.
WSJU Radio, DJ Mad Max, back on air here with co-host Keenan, the great legend Mike Geronimo, straight out of Queens, and Loko.
Yeah.
How you gonna minimize Loko like that? I'm
He's
here with the
aspiring.
legendary Loko, y'all.
Nah,
He's an aspiring
okay.
legend.
And I'm here with the legendary Mike Geronimo. Queens is in the building.
You're already
I mean,
there, Lo.
I'm trying,
You
man.
dig?
I'm trying.
You
I feel
already
you. I
there.
feel you, man. It's more to go,
You just
but
have to catch up to where it is.
Absolutely.
You dig? But it's already there, bro.
I feel you.
It's already there, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
See? See, look, now you done changed it, right?
So, getting back to the natural, that's
Mhm.
definitely my favorite single that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also other tracks on there. Time to Build. I want to get into that too. Who hooked you up with Jay-Z for the record with Time to Build?
It was Gotti. Like I met Hove and I met X and Rule through Irv. So with me and Rule it was a little different because Irv had another set, a group called Cash Money Clip, and you know that consisted of Ja Rule and my man O1 and my man Chris Black. Shout out Black and O. You know, so but from the minute we met, we all clicked. You know, so but I think I kind of was tight with Rule and Chris. Chris I kind of knew from being outside. But you know, me and Rule once we clicked, like I would go and sleep at his crib at Woodhall, and you know we get up in the morning, go get trees and eat Chinese food and bug out, you know, and Black Child as well, you know. So, but Irv was dealing with Rockefeller and he was dealing with Rough Riders. So it's kind of like we was all of us was under one big tent, and I guess it was just fate that at the time I was the one who had, I guess you could say, the door halfway open for everybody else to rush in. So I knew who Jay was because I knew who Original Flavor was, and I remember the Can I Get Open record, and I was telling him. Plus I knew Clark Kent, you know, like Clark's like a big brother. So once Irv introduced us, we was cool. Like I think we all had like a little brotherhood, you know. So from the day we all met, it was always, you know, like if one of them wasn't at our sessions, then we would be, you know, at Rockefeller session, or we would be at a Rough Rider session. So like I knew Swizz early on, and plus my cousin Infrared actually was dealing with Rough Riders at the time. So between that and all the other connections we had just from mutual people, it just all made sense, you know. And Time to Build was just like it. I can't say it wasn't planned because Irv definitely had a plan, but Time to Build, I think he used as kind of like if the door was closing, like kind of like an elbow to be like, wait, there's more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's funny because I think more people recognize the record now than they actually did then. You know, so like now I'll see tweets about Time to Build, and I'll see like stories online, and you know people be like, yo, I didn't know Hove was dissing X on it, and I didn't know X was dissing Hove on it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of funny how the internet has given it this like nostalgic, legendary, I guess you could say, type of a moniker. You know, so I'm just glad we did it. You know, I'm just glad that I got to work with friends. You know, and I don't really look at it past me working with my friends. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a great friend of yours is Royal Flush too.
Oh, for certain, for certain. Shout out Flush. What's up with you, boy?
Yeah, one of the legends of Queens
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I also like the track you have with him on it, Men versus Many.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely a fire track. The beat, and you have OC on it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Always and now again, like I said, there were so many moments in making the natural that were just spontaneity. There were so many moments where, like I remember when we did Men Verse. Shout out to the beat miners, Mr. Walt and Evil D. And they just played the track, and from the minute they played it, we was just like, whoa. And it was me, Flush, Rule, OC, my man CeeLo, who ended up on a record. And we didn't even think to say, yo, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna say 4 bars, and then I'm gonna jump in, and you're gonna say 6 bars, and then he's gonna jump in. It just unfolded, and then once it unfolded, we just went with it, you know. And like I said before, I think those are the luckiest moments you have in making music. Is when it's just that magic stuff, man. Like that fairy dust that gets like blown around, and you just like it almost feels like you're not even doing it. You know, it almost feels like it's just doing it on its own. And that's how the record came out, thank God. And I love that record. You know.
Well, we're gonna throw that on now.
Cool beans.
Yeah, let's throw Men versus Many on right now.
Are we gonna play like this whole entire album?
No. We're just doing personally my favorites. Personally my favorites.
Nah, I'm playing with you.
Yeah.
Yo, man, play like like Meek's joint or something, man. I want to hear Champion. Shit. Nah, we can play this. What's up?
Yeah, someone hear that me.
This I actually listened to not too long ago. Because somebody had said something about it. I was like, let me go listen to it. Oh, okay, so I just saw he really did run up on Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
But what does that say about you?
I think
That's like stepping to